The scientists at NASA's Deep Space Monitoring Station were the first to notice something unusual. It was a quiet Tuesday morning in April 2047 when the sensors picked up energy readings unlike anything they had seen before. Dr. Linda Cooper was reviewing the data when she noticed the anomaly near the orbit of Pluto. "Sam, come look at this," she called to her colleague. Dr. Sam Phillips hurried over, coffee mug in hand, and leaned in to examine the screen. "That can't be right," he muttered, setting down his mug. "Run the diagnostics again." Linda ran the check 3 more times. The readings remained the same. Whatever was out there, it was big, it was moving, and it wasn't natural. Within 24 hours, every major observatory on Earth had confirmed the findings. A fleet of unknown origin was entering the solar system, and it was heading directly toward Earth. The news spread quickly. Global leaders were briefed, military forces went on high alert, and the public was informed in a series of carefully worded announcements designed to prevent panic. Captain John Miller of the Earth Defense Force was eating breakfast with his wife when the call came. As commander of the EDF's flagship, the Aurora, he knew what the call meant before he even answered. "Miller," he said, his voice steady despite the racing of his heart. "Captain, this is command. Report to headquarters immediately. Authorization code Sierra 9 Delta." John kissed his wife goodbye. "I'll call when I can," he promised, knowing full well that might not be possible. At the United Nations Emergency Council meeting in New York, representatives from all nations gathered to address the approaching threat. Ambassador Lisa Wright, known for her diplomatic skills in international crises, led the discussion. "We need to establish communication," she insisted. "We cannot assume hostile intent." General Susan Garcia, head of the Global Defense Initiative, disagreed. "We need to prepare for the worst. If they're friendly, great. If not, we need to be ready." President Daniel White made the final decision. "We'll do both. Ambassador Wright will lead a diplomatic team. General Garcia will coordinate our defenses. Let's hope for peace, but prepare for war." As Earth's military forces mobilized, Chief Intelligence Officer Ryan Beck and his team worked around the clock analyzing the limited data they had on the approaching fleet. "Their technology is like nothing we've ever seen," Ryan told the president during a briefing 3 days later. "The energy output alone suggests capabilities far beyond our own." "Can we defend against them?" the president asked. Ryan hesitated. "I don't know, sir, but I found something concerning. The radiation signature from their engines matches readings we detected near Alpha Centauri last year, right before we lost contact with our research outpost there. The implications were clear. If these were the same beings that had destroyed the outpost, their intentions were unlikely to be peaceful." As the alien fleet approached Mars, Earth attempted its first contact. A message of peace was broadcast on all frequencies in multiple formats: mathematical sequences, visual representations, and basic language constructs designed by linguists for potential universal understanding. The response came 2 days later as the fleet settled into orbit around Earth's moon. A transmission, received simultaneously by every communications device on the planet, showed a humanoid figure with blue-tinted skin and eyes that seemed to reflect starlight. "People of Earth," the figure said in perfect English, "I am Grand Admiral Zorax of the Centauri Empire. Your world has been selected for integration into our domain. Your resources will serve the Empire. Your people will submit to imperial authority. Resistance is inadvisable." Ambassador Wright aboard the diplomatic vessel sent to meet with the aliens responded with calm determination. "We welcome peaceful contact with other civilizations, but we cannot accept integration without discussion. We invite you to meet with our leaders to find a mutually beneficial arrangement." The alien's expression didn't change. "There is nothing to discuss. The Empire does not negotiate with pre-spacefaring species. You will submit, or you will be removed." The transmission ended. On Earth, Dr. Alan Parker, a leading xenobiologist, worked furiously to analyze the brief glimpse they had of the aliens. "Their physiology suggests a silicon-based life form," he reported to the Emergency Council. "If that's true, they likely evolved in a very different environment than ours." "How does that help us?" General Garcia asked. It might give us insight into their weaknesses, Alan replied. Every species has them. Meanwhile, the Empire made its first move. A smaller vessel detached from the fleet and descended toward the Pacific Ocean. Earth's defense systems tracked it but held fire on the president's orders. The ship hovered over the water, extended a probe-like device, and began extracting massive amounts of seawater. They're taking samples, Ryan observed, analyzing our resources. The alien ship continued this process at various locations around the globe for the next 48 hours. It took samples of water, soil, and air. It scanned cities from a distance but made no attempt to communicate further. When it rejoined the fleet, another transmission was broadcast planet-wide. Your world is suitable. Your water reserves alone are worth the effort of processing your population. You have 72 hours to prepare for Imperial management. Those who cooperate will be permitted to serve. Those who resist will be eliminated. The screen displayed images of other worlds, barren, strip-mined planets that had clearly once harbored life. The message was clear. This had happened before, and the Empire expected no significant resistance. President White called an emergency session with world leaders. We need to decide now. Do we fight or do we surrender? The Russian president spoke first. My country has never surrendered to invaders. We will not start now. One by one, each leader voiced the same sentiment. Despite their differences and historical conflicts, humanity stood united against this external threat. Then it's decided, President White said. We fight. General Garcia outlined the defense plan. Our conventional weapons may not be effective against their technology, but we've been developing some unconventional options since we first detected signs of intelligent life in the galaxy 20 years ago. What kind of options? Someone asked. The kind we hoped we'd never need to use, she replied grimly. As the deadline approached, Captain John Miller received his orders. The Aurora, along with a small fleet of Earth's most advanced ships, would position themselves between Earth and the alien armada. Not as a serious defense. They knew they couldn't win a direct confrontation, but as a show of resolve. We're not going quietly, John told his crew as they prepared to launch. We're showing them that humans don't surrender their home without a fight. The 72-hour deadline was almost up. Earth had made its decision. Now they would see if humanity had what it took to face an interstellar empire. In orbit above Earth, the Aurora took its position. Captain Miller looked at the view screen showing the massive alien fleet. He thought of his wife, of all the people on the planet below, and of the future they were fighting for. All stations report ready, Captain, his first officer said. John nodded. Then let's give these aliens their warning. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, in the Colorado Underground Command Center, Earth's military leaders gathered around a large holographic display showing the positions of both the alien fleet and Earth's defenses. The room hummed with tense energy as officers spoke in hushed voices, reviewing plans and preparing for what might be humanity's greatest challenge. President Daniel White entered the room, and everyone stood at attention. His face showed the weight of the decisions he had made over the past 3 days. At ease, he said. What's our status? General Susan Garcia stepped forward. Mr. President, all global defense systems are on high alert. Our space-based assets are in position and ground defenses are ready. And Operation Deterrent? Ready for your authorization, sir, she replied, sliding a secure tablet toward him. The president looked at the screen for a long moment. The plan outlined there had been developed years ago as a last resort, a contingency that most hoped would never be needed. He pressed his thumb to the scanner, and the screen flashed green. Operation Deterrent is now active, he announced. God, help us all. Across the globe, in hidden bunkers and secret facilities, systems that had remained dormant for decades began to power up. Lieutenant Kate Murphy was monitoring communications at the North American Defense Grid when she received the coded alert. She quickly entered her authentication sequence and watched as previously locked sections of the system became accessible. Holy, she whispered, seeing the true extent of Earth's defensive capabilities for the first time. What she had thought was Earth's complete defense network was merely the visible portion. Beneath that public layer lay weapon systems far more advanced than she had imagined possible. In orbit, engineer Paul Harris received similar orders aboard Space Station Freedom. He made his way to a restricted section of the station, used his newly granted access codes, and entered a room he had never been allowed into before. Inside, he found controls for the Helios network, a series of satellites that had officially been listed as weather and communications platforms. In reality, they were advanced weapons platforms capable of targeting threats anywhere in the solar system. System activation confirmed, Paul reported after initializing the network. Helios is online and awaiting target designation. Back in the command center, Ryan Beck watched as new data streamed in. Mr. President, we're detecting movement from the alien fleet. Several smaller vessels are breaking formation. Scout ships, General Garcia said. They're testing our defenses. Do we engage? Asked an officer. The president nodded. Yes. Show them we can bite. As the alien scout ships approached Earth's orbit, they were met with precise energy blasts from the now activated Helios platforms. 3 scouts disappeared in brilliant flashes of light. 2 more turned to retreat but were caught by additional fire. In the command center, a cheer went up as the scouts were destroyed. But Ryan Beck remained concerned. That was too easy, he said to General Garcia. They wanted to see our capabilities. In her laboratory at MIT, Dr. Olivia Martinez had been working non-stop to understand the alien communications technology. When she finally had a breakthrough, she contacted the command center immediately. I've found a way to bypass their encryption, she explained over the secure line. We can broadcast directly to their command ship, and they won't be able to block it. Good work, Doctor, the president said. Can you patch us through? Yes, sir, whenever you're ready. President White stood before a camera, flanked by world leaders who had gathered for this moment. His expression was solemn but determined. This message is for Grand Admiral Zorax of the Centauri Empire, he began. I speak not just as the leader of one nation, but on behalf of all humanity. We have received your ultimatum, and we have a response. The president paused, then continued with steel in his voice. Throughout our history, humans have fought countless wars against each other. We have developed technology specifically designed to destroy one another. We have nearly wiped ourselves out more than once, but we have always survived. The broadcast cut to footage of historical battles, nuclear tests, and scenes of human resilience in the face of disaster. We stand united. We will not surrender. One warning is all you get. The transmission ended with a demonstration. A small, uninhabited asteroid in Earth's orbit was targeted by a Helios platform. The energy beam that struck it didn't just destroy the asteroid, it disintegrated it completely, leaving nothing but dust. On the command ship of the Centauri fleet, Grand Admiral Zorax received the transmission with mild surprise. No pre-spacefaring species had ever resisted the Empire so boldly. It was almost amusing. The primitives think they can fight us, he said to his officers. Their weapons are impressive for their development level, but nothing compared to Imperial technology. His second-in-command, Sub-Commander Valek, wasn't so quick to dismiss the threat. Admiral, our scouts were destroyed with technology we didn't detect in our initial scans. The humans may have hidden capabilities. It changes nothing, Zorax replied. Begin the first attack wave. Target their lunar installations first, then move to their orbital defenses. Once those are neutralized, we will begin resource extraction. On Earth's moon, at the recently established Moonbase Alpha, Colonel Frank Rodriguez received the alert that alien ships were approaching. All personnel to battle stations, he ordered. Civilian staff to shelters immediately. The base, originally built for scientific research, had been quickly converted to serve as a first line of defense. Its position gave Earth forces a strategic advantage, the ability to engage the enemy before they reached Earth itself. Communications specialist Amy Nelson worked frantically to maintain contact with Earth despite the jamming signals now being broadcast by the approaching alien ships. I've established a secure channel using the new frequency rotation, she reported to Colonel Rodriguez. "We can stay in touch with command no matter what they throw at us." As the first wave of alien attack, ships entered lunar orbit. Earth's defensive systems revealed their true power. The Helios network fired in coordination with lunar-based weapons, creating a deadly crossfire. In his laboratory in Geneva, Dr. William Green monitored the energy readings with growing concern. The alien weapons were even more powerful than they had anticipated. He made a quick decision and activated the experimental shield technology his team had been developing. "Shield generators online," he reported. "Coverage at 70% and holding." The shields deployed just in time. The alien fleet launched a massive energy barrage against Moonbase Alpha, but the experimental shields held, dissipating most of the attack's energy. Earth's counterattack was devastating. The alien ships, not expecting such resistance, suffered heavy losses. Their formation broke apart as they tried to adapt to Earth's unexpected defensive capabilities. In the Colorado Command Center, the holographic display showed the battle unfolding. 70% of the alien attack force had been destroyed or disabled, but Earth had suffered losses too. The Atlantic defense platform had been destroyed, and several Helios satellites were damaged. "They're retreating," Ryan Beck announced, as the remaining alien ships pulled back to regroup with the main fleet. There was no celebration this time. Everyone knew this was just the beginning. In orbit around the moon, Nicole Davis, an intelligence officer aboard one of Earth's defense ships, intercepted communications between the retreating alien vessels. "They're shocked," she reported after, translating the messages. "They didn't expect this level of resistance. They're regrouping to report back to their command." President White looked at the casualty reports coming in from the lunar base and the destroyed defense platform. The victory had come at a cost, but Earth had sent its message clearly. "How long until they attack again?" he asked. "Based on their movements, I'd say we have about 12 hours, General Garcia replied. The president nodded. "Then we have 12 hours to prepare our next move, because this fight has just begun." The 12 hours passed quickly. On Moonbase Alpha, Colonel Frank Rodriguez supervised emergency repairs, while medical teams treated the wounded. Despite the base's shields holding against the initial attack, the outer sections had suffered damage from the sheer power of the alien weapons. "Status report," Frank called out as he entered the command center. His uniform was dusty, and a bandage covered a cut on his forehead. "Shield generators at 60% capacity," reported a young officer. "Weapon systems fully operational. We've lost contact with Outpost Delta on the far side." Frank nodded grimly. "Send a team to check on Delta as soon as it's safe." "What? About Earth?" Amy Nelson looked up from her communications station. "The jamming is getting stronger, sir, but I'm still maintaining contact using the rotating frequencies. General Garcia is coordinating the global defense from Colorado." Outside, through the reinforced windows of the command center, they could see the stars, and among them, the lights of the massive alien fleet regrouping for another attack. On the Imperial command ship, Grand Admiral Zorax was furious. The first attack wave had been a disaster, with 70% of the ships destroyed by Earth's unexpected defenses. "How did our scans miss these weapons?" he demanded, glaring at his science officer. "You assured me their technology was primitive." "The humans concealed their true capabilities," the science officer replied nervously. "Their defensive systems were shielded from our scans." Sub-Commander Valek approached with a datapad. "Admiral, I've analyzed their attack patterns. Their weapons are advanced, but their tactics suggest limited space combat experience. They rely heavily on automated systems rather than pilot skill." Zorax considered this information. "Then we will overwhelm their systems. Prepare all remaining attack ships. We will strike simultaneously at multiple targets: their lunar base, their orbital platforms, and their ground installations. Their automated defenses cannot target everything at once." Back on Earth in the Colorado Command Center, Ryan Beck noticed a change in the alien fleet's formation. "They're splitting up," he informed General Garcia and President White. "Multiple attack groups forming. They're going to hit us everywhere at once." The president turned to Dr. William Green, who had been brought in from Geneva after the success of his shield technology. Can your shields protect our major cities? He asked. William shook his head. Not yet. The generators are too large and we only have a few prototypes. We can cover some military installations but not population centers. Then we evacuate, the president decided. Get people into the designated shelters and bring the Helios network to full power. It's our best defense against multiple targets. Alerts went out worldwide. In cities across the globe, people moved quickly to underground shelters that had been prepared over the past 3 days. Years of disaster drills paid off as the evacuations proceeded with minimal panic. In orbit, Paul Harris worked frantically to maximize the Helios network's targeting capabilities. The system had never been designed to track so many targets simultaneously. We need to prioritize, he told his team aboard Space Station Freedom. Military targets first, then any ships heading for population centers. The attack came just as Earth's forces had predicted. Hundreds of alien ships descended toward the planet in coordinated groups. The Helios network fired continuously, destroying dozens of ships, but many more got through. At Moonbase Alpha, the aliens struck with even greater force than before. The experimental shields flickered under the onslaught. Shield generators. Overheating, shouted a technician. They can't take much more of this. Colonel Rodriguez made a quick decision. Divert power from the east section to reinforce the shields. Evacuate all personnel from that section immediately. On Earth, cities around the world saw alien ships entering the atmosphere. The ground-based defense systems engaged, filling the sky with anti-aircraft fire and energy beams. Some alien ships were destroyed, but others made it through, targeting power plants, military bases, and communication centers. In San Francisco, Lieutenant Steve Carter led a squadron of fighter jets against the incoming aliens. The Earth fighters were less advanced, but the pilots were skilled and knew their home territory. Stay in tight formation, Steve ordered over the radio. Use the clouds for cover and hit them from below. His squadron managed to bring down 3 alien ships, but the cost was high. One by one, Earth's fighters were shot down until only Steve's remained. When an alien ship headed toward a civilian evacuation route, Steve made the ultimate choice. He aimed his damaged fighter directly at the alien vessel and accelerated. For Earth, he said quietly as his plane collided with the alien ship. The resulting explosion destroyed both vessels, but saved thousands of civilians below. Similar scenes played out around the world as Earth's military forces fought with everything they had. The aliens had superior technology, but humans fought with desperate courage, using their knowledge of the terrain and unpredictable tactics to overcome the technological gap. In orbit, the Helios network continued to thin the attacking forces, but the strain was beginning to show. Several satellites overheated from continuous firing and shut down. We're losing coverage in the southern hemisphere, Paul Harris reported from Space Station Freedom, redirecting remaining platforms to compensate. At the lunar base, the situation was critical. The shields were failing, and alien troops had landed on the surface, attempting to breach the base directly. Colonel Rodriguez led a defense team to the main airlock. Hold this position at all costs, he ordered as they set up barricades. If they get inside, we lose the base. The fight was intense. Alien soldiers used advanced energy weapons, but the narrow corridors of the base negated some of their advantage. The humans fought for every meter, falling back in an organized retreat when necessary, setting traps and ambushes along the way. Amy Nelson worked throughout the battle to maintain communications with Earth. When the main antenna was destroyed, she rigged an emergency system using parts from damaged equipment. Command Center, this is Nelson, she reported. I've restored partial communications. The aliens have breached Section C, but Colonel Rodriguez is holding them at the central junction. In Colorado, Intelligence Officer Nicole Davis continued monitoring enemy communications. She detected a sudden change in the alien transmissions. General, they're pulling back, she announced, surprised. All ships are being ordered to retreat to minimum safe distance. General Garcia frowned. Why would they retreat now? They were making progress. Ryan Beck studied the sensor readings and paled. Because they're bringing in their big guns. Energy readings from the main fleet show they're charging weapons far more powerful than anything we've seen so far. I think they're preparing to hit us with everything they've got. President White looked at the global situation display. Earth's forces had fought bravely, but they had taken heavy losses. The Helios network was operating at reduced capacity. The lunar base was partially overrun. Several major cities had suffered damage despite the evacuations. How long do we have? He asked. Based on their energy buildup, I'd say about 3 hours, Ryan replied. The president straightened his shoulders. Then it's time for Phase 2. Get me a secure line to Captain Eric Johnson on the USS Defender. General Garcia looked surprised. Sir, are you sure? We plan to hold that in reserve. If we don't act now, we might not get another chance, the president replied. We've shown them we can defend ourselves. Now let's show them we can hit back. The USS Defender floated silently in Earth's shadow, hidden from the alien fleet's sensors. It was the largest and most advanced ship in Earth's small space fleet, though it had been kept in reserve until now. Captain Eric Johnson stood on the bridge, watching his crew prepare for the most important mission in human history. All systems check complete, Captain, reported his first officer. Weapons at full capacity, stealth systems functioning perfectly. Eric nodded. And the new technology? Engineer Laura Wilson reports the shield penetration system is ready for deployment. It's never been tested in combat, but the simulations are promising. The secure communication line beeped. Eric pressed a button on his command chair, and President White's face appeared on the main screen. Captain Johnson, the enemy is regrouping for a massive strike. We can't withstand another major attack. It's time for Operation Counterforce. Understood, Mr. President, we're ready. Good luck, Captain. The fate of our world rests with you and your crew. The transmission ended, and Eric turned to his crew. You've all been briefed on the mission. We're taking the fight to the enemy. Our target is their forward base on Europa. Intelligence suggests they're using Jupiter's moon as a staging area and refueling station. He brought up a holographic display showing Jupiter and its moons. We'll use the planet's radiation belts for cover as we approach. Once in position, we'll deploy the shield penetration technology and strike their base directly. Eric looked at each crew member. This is a volunteer mission. The odds of success are unknown, and the odds of return are even less certain. Anyone who wishes to stay behind may do so with no shame. Not a single person moved. Eric nodded, pride evident in his expression. Then let's make history. The USS Defender powered up its engines and moved out from Earth's shadow. Instead of heading toward the main alien fleet, it accelerated away, from Earth toward the outer planets. Several smaller Earth ships followed, forming a small but determined battle group. In the Colorado Command Center, General Garcia and Ryan Beck monitored the fleet's progress. They've cleared Earth orbit without being detected, Ryan reported. The alien fleet is still focused on charging their main weapons. Good, General Garcia replied. Now we need to keep the aliens distracted until the Defender reaches Europa. President White nodded. Implement Operation Firefly. Around the world, remaining Helios platforms and ground-based weapons began firing into space at random intervals. The pattern seemed chaotic, but it was carefully designed to draw the aliens' attention and resources away from Jupiter. On the Imperial command ship, Grand Admiral Zorax was puzzled by the humans' behavior. They fire without proper targeting, he said to Subcommander Velik. Are their systems malfunctioning? Perhaps damage from our previous attack, Velik suggested, or a desperate attempt to delay our final strike. It changes nothing, Zorax decided. Continue charging the main weapons. We will end this resistance soon. Neither of them noticed the small group of Earth ships now rapidly approaching Jupiter. The journey to Europa took hours. Inside the USS Defender, engineer Laura Wilson made final adjustments to her shield penetration technology. It was based on analysis of debris from destroyed alien ships, identifying a frequency that could disrupt their energy shields. The theory is solid, she explained to Captain Johnson as they reviewed the system. Their shields oscillate at a specific frequency. If we match that frequency and then introduce a counterphase, we should create a temporary window. How temporary? Eric asked. Seconds at most, but that should be enough to get our weapons through, As they approached Jupiter, the Defender and its escort ships used the massive planet's radiation belts for cover, just as planned. The radiation interfered with sensors on both sides, but Earth's ships had been specifically designed to operate in these conditions. "Europa in visual range, Captain," announced the navigator. "Alien base detected on the surface near the southern ice plains." Eric studied the sensor readings. The base was larger than expected, with several alien ships docked at its facilities. "Prepare for attack run, activate stealth systems, and arm all weapons." The Earth ships moved silently toward the Jovian moon, using its ice geysers as additional cover. When they were in position, Eric gave the order. "Deploy shield penetration system." Laura activated her invention. A focused beam of energy shot out from the Defender, striking the invisible shield surrounding the alien base. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a section of the shield flickered and faded. "Shield breach confirmed." "We have a window," Laura shouted. "All ships fire," Eric ordered. Earth's small fleet unleashed everything they had. Missiles, energy weapons, and special penetrator bombs designed to burrow underground before detonating all struck the alien base simultaneously. The explosions were massive, visible even from orbit as they tore through the facility. "Direct hit on their main power core," reported the weapons officer. Secondary explosions throughout the base. As the attack continued, Eric received an unexpected message from one of the escort ships. "Captain, we're detecting life signs beneath the base. They don't match the alien biosignatures we've recorded. I think they might be prisoners." Eric made a quick decision. "Prepare a ground team, we're going in." Major Ben Taylor led the assault team that landed on Europa's icy surface. They wore specialized suits designed for the extreme cold and low gravity of the Jovian moon. Moving quickly through the damaged alien facility, they fought their way past the remaining defenders. "This way," Ben directed his team, following the life sign readings. "The signals are coming from the lower levels." They found a secured area that had survived the initial attack. After breaking through the alien security systems, they discovered the truth. The Centauri Empire had been imprisoning members of other alien species. Beings of various forms were held in cells, many looking weak and malnourished. "We're from Earth," Ben told them as his team began opening the cells. "We're here to help." One of the aliens, a tall, slender being with 4 arms and silvery skin, approached Ben. Using a translation device, it spoke. "I am Zeltaric of the Proxima Coalition. We have been prisoners of the Empire for many cycles. They conquer worlds, strip them of resources, and enslave the inhabitants." While Ben and his team evacuated the prisoners to their ships, Dr. Helen Brown, the expedition's xenobiologist, made a discovery that changed everything. In the alien commander's quarters, she found data records showing the Empire's true intentions. "Captain Johnson," she reported via comlink, "the Empire doesn't just want Earth's resources. According to these records, they've been searching for something specific, something they call the ancient weapon. They believe it's hidden on Earth." Back aboard the Defender, Eric reviewed the translated data. "They think there's advanced technology on Earth? Technology they want?" "Yes," Helen confirmed. "And based on these star charts, Earth isn't the first world they've searched, but they seem to think it's the most promising." As the Earth ships prepared to leave Europa with the rescued aliens, they detected a massive energy surge from the direction of Earth. "The Empire has fired their main weapon," the communications officer reported gravely. Eric's heart sank. Had they been too late? Had their mission been in vain? Then came an unexpected message from Colorado Command Center. Ryan Beck's voice was filled with excitement. "Defender, this is Earth. The alien weapon fired, but Project Prometheus activated successfully. The energy was absorbed and redirected. Repeat, Project Prometheus is working. Return to Earth immediately. The final phase is about to begin." Eric turned to his crew, determination in his eyes. "You heard the man. Set course for Earth maximum speed, and get our new allies to the medical bay. I want to know everything they can tell us about the Empire's weaknesses." The liberated aliens, grateful for their rescue, eagerly shared their knowledge. The Empire was powerful but not invincible, and now humanity knew exactly where to strike. The USS Defender and its escort ships raced back toward Earth, pushing their engines beyond safe limits. Captain Eric Johnson stood on the bridge, watching Jupiter shrink behind them as they accelerated toward home. The rescued aliens from the Europa base had provided invaluable information about the Empire's technology and tactics. "How much longer until we reach Earth?" Eric asked his navigator. "At current speed, 4 hours, Captain." Eric frowned. That might not be soon enough. The communication from Earth had been brief. Project Prometheus had activated successfully, but for how long could it hold? In the Colorado Command Center, the mood was tense but focused. The massive energy weapon fired by the Imperial fleet had struck Earth's atmosphere 15 minutes ago. Instead of causing catastrophic damage, the energy had been captured by hidden installations around the planet. The true purpose of Project Prometheus. Dr. Kevin Russell, the chief scientist behind the project, explained what was happening. To President White and General Garcia, "The installations are absorbing and storing the energy," he said, pointing to a global display showing bright points of light at various locations. "We detected signals from similar weapons decades ago, when our deep space monitoring first picked up evidence of the Empire. We've been preparing ever since." "How much can they absorb?" the president asked. "Enough," Kevin replied, "but not indefinitely. We need to use the stored energy soon, or the systems will overload." Ryan Beck interrupted with urgent news. "The Imperial fleet is moving. They're bringing in their main battle cruisers. The entire fleet is approaching Earth." General Garcia studied the tactical display. "They're confused by what happened with their weapon. They expected Earth to be devastated, but instead nothing visible happened. Now they're coming in to finish the job personally." The president made his decision. "Position our remaining forces at Neptune's orbit. That's where we make our stand. Earth's combined fleet, what remained of it after the previous battles, formed a defensive line near Neptune, the last gas giant before the outer reaches of the solar system. The ships looked small and fragile compared to the massive Imperial fleet, now bearing down on them. Captain Eric Johnson and the USS Defender arrived just in time to join the formation. The Defender took position at the center of the line, flanked by the remaining Earth vessels. General Garcia addressed all ship commanders from the Colorado bunker. Her face appeared on communication screens throughout the fleet. "Men and women of Earth's defense forces," she began, her voice steady and strong. "Today we face an enemy that has conquered countless worlds. They believe we are weak, that our planet is just another prize to be taken. They gave us one chance to surrender, and we gave them one warning in return." She paused, looking directly into the camera. "That warning ends today. You all know the plan. Hold the line until Project Prometheus is ready. Draw them into position. Earth has placed its trust in you, and you have never failed that trust. Good luck and Godspeed." As the Imperial fleet approached, Grand Admiral Zorax watched the pitiful human defense line with contempt. "They still resist," he said to his officers, "even after we deployed our main weapon." Sub-Commander Valek was more cautious. "Admiral, our sensors show no damage to Earth from our weapon. Something intercepted or absorbed the energy." "Impossible," Zorax dismissed the concern. "No pre-spacefaring civilization has such technology. Their defenses must have been overwhelmed, and our sensors are simply not detecting the damage yet." "What about the missing base on Europa?" another officer asked. "We lost all contact at the same time they launched their counterattack." Zorax's expression darkened. "A lucky strike, nothing more. Destroy their remaining ships. Then we will take what we want from their world, with or without their cooperation." The Imperial fleet accelerated toward Earth's defensive line. Their numbers were overwhelming, hundreds of warships against fewer than 50 Earth vessels. On the Defender, Eric received a secure transmission from Dr. Kevin Russell. "Project Prometheus is at 90% charge," Kevin reported. "We need another 5 minutes, and we need the Imperial fleet to be fully committed to the attack." "Understood," Eric replied. "We'll hold them as long as we can." He turned to his crew. "All hands, battle stations. Prepare for engagement." As the Imperial ships came within range, Earth's fleet executed a complex maneuver. Instead of holding position, the ship suddenly scattered in what appeared to be a panicked retreat. The Imperial fleet, seeing an opportunity, gave chase, exactly as planned. "They're following us," Eric reported to command. "Breaking into pursuit groups just as predicted." General Garcia nodded. "Excellent, begin Phase 2. Earth's ship suddenly reversed course, darting between the now separated Imperial vessels. The maneuver caught the aliens by surprise. Earth's ships fired precisely targeted shots at vulnerable points identified by the rescued aliens from Europa. "Hit their port engine clusters," Eric ordered, as the Defender engaged an Imperial cruiser. "Then target their communication arrays." The battle was chaotic, with Earth's smaller, more maneuverable ships darting between the larger Imperial vessels. Though outgunned, the human pilots used their knowledge of the solar system to their advantage, luring alien ships into Neptune's dense ring system, where visibility was poor and navigation difficult. On Earth, Dr. Kevin Russell watched the energy levels of Project Prometheus reach maximum capacity. "We're ready," he informed President White. "All systems charged." The president took a deep breath. "Activate Prometheus." Around the world, the hidden installations that had absorbed the Imperial weapons' energy now redirected it. Beams of intense energy shot upward from points across Earth's surface, converging in orbit before shooting outward toward Neptune. In space, the Earth fleet received the signal they had been waiting for. All ships immediately broke off engagement and accelerated away from the Imperial fleet. "What are they doing?" Zorax demanded as he watched the human ships retreat. His question was answered moments later, when the energy beam from Earth reached the battle zone. But instead of striking the Imperial ships directly, it created something else entirely. A localized distortion in space-time, a swirling vortex that began to pull everything toward its center. "Evasive action," Zorax ordered, but it was too late. His ship, along with much of the Imperial fleet, had been perfectly positioned in the effect's range. The Imperial ships struggled against the pull of the distortion, their engines straining at maximum power. Some of the smaller vessels were torn apart by the forces involved. Larger ships, including Zorax's command vessel, suffered severe damage as their hulls buckled under the strain. From a safe distance, Earth's fleet watched as the Imperial Armada was decimated, not by direct weapons fire, but by humanity's understanding of physics and their ability to manipulate the fundamental forces of the universe. When the distortion finally dissipated, less than half of the Imperial fleet remained intact. Zorax's command ship floated powerless, its engines destroyed and its weapons systems offline. Captain Eric Johnson opened a communication channel to the damaged Imperial flagship. "Grand Admiral Zorax," he said, his voice calm but firm. "This is Captain Eric Johnson of Earth. We gave you one warning. This was it. Leave our system now and never return, or the next demonstration will not be so merciful." For several long moments there was no response. Then, the remaining Imperial ships began to move slowly at first, then with increasing speed as they retreated from the solar system. On the bridge of the Defender, a cheer went up from the crew. Eric allowed himself a small smile before contacting Earth. "Command, this is Defender. The enemy is retreating. I repeat, the enemy is in full retreat." In the Colorado bunker, President White and General Garcia exchanged looks of relief and pride. "Thank you, Captain," the President replied. "All ships return to Earth. It's time to come home." As Earth's fleet turned toward home, Eric looked out at the stars. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and had not only survived but prevailed. And in doing so, they had discovered they were not alone in the universe. There were other civilizations out there, some friends, some foes. The liberated aliens from Europa had already spoken of a coalition of free worlds that opposed the Bi Empire. Perhaps Earth would join them one day, but first there was much to rebuild and much to prepare for. This was humanity's first step into a larger universe, and they had announced their arrival with a clear message. Earth was not to be trifled with. Humanity would defend its home no matter the cost. And they had given their warning, just one, as promised.